barefoot along dusty paths, tending to the sick, and whispering remedies no one else understood. At night, whispers called her name. She would wake drenched in sweat, heart hammering, unsure whether the fear came from her dream or her soul remembering something long past. Eda's life had always felt slightly out of sync. At 27, she was a clinical pharmacy apprentice in the bustling city, but she often felt like a ghost in her own world. Her dreams had started years ago, vivid, unevenly real visions of a village she had never visited. In these dreams, she was Nkem, a young healer, walking barefoot along dusty paths, tending to the sick, and whispering remedies no one else understood. At night, whispers called her name. She would wake drenched in sweat, heart hammering, unsure whether the fear came from her dream or her soul remembering something long past. One morning, Ada stared out of her apartment window. The city skyline was a concrete blur, but she felt herself pulled toward a distant forest she had never seen. That evening, while walking to the pharmacy, a familiar smell struck her: freshly cut herbs, damp earth, and she froze. The streets were ordinary, yet something about them mirrored the village from her dreams. Determined to make sense of her visions, she began journaling her dreams, noting the layout of streets, the faces of villagers, and the herbs she had never studied. Then came the museum incident. While wandering a small gallery of traditional African artifacts, her gaze fell on a portrait, aged and cracked, but the face staring back was hers. Ada stumbled backward, clutching her chest. The whispers returned in her mind: Nkem, Nkem. The next week, she joined a pharmacy outreach program to a rural village. It was there she met Mama Ifoma, a frail, silver-haired woman with eyes that burned with recognition. Nkem, she said softly, reaching out her hand. Ada froze, disbelief crashing into her chest. Who is Nkem? She asked. The woman's voice quivered. You are her. You have returned. That night, memories flooded Ada. She saw Nkem tending to a feverish child, grinding herbs, feeling the villagers' hope and fear. Shadows loomed in the corners of her dreams, whispering warnings she couldn't understand. The next day, Mama Ifoma warned her, a past enemy's bloodline still lingers. They will stop Nkem, and they will try to stop you too. Ada laughed nervously, dismissing superstition, until a black cat crossed her path, its eyes glinting in the fading light. Dreams began merging with reality. Ada walked to find objects moved in her apartment, doors ajar when they had been closed. She could hear faint whispers in her own voice calling her name. Anxiety gnawed at her, yet she felt a strange excitement. Using her knowledge from dreams, Ada experimented with herbs, creating remedies that surprisingly worked. A child with persistent fever responded immediately. Shadows from her dreams seemed to linger even after she woke, watching her, waiting. Then the threats began. A note appeared in her bag: stop digging, or suffer. A batch of herbs she prepared for the village was contaminated. Fear prickled her spine, but determination surged. Ada was Nkem now, and Nkem had responsibilities. The dreams grew darker. Night after night, she relived Nkem's death, each time from a slightly different perspective, running through the forest, feeling betrayal and loss, hearing whispers that now formed words: beware the one who waits. A breakthrough came when a child addressed her by name. Nkem, can you help my mother? The child whispered. Eda's heart thudded. It wasn't just dreams anymore. She was leaving a legacy, and the past was bleeding into the present. The shadows became bolder, cold drafts, moving objects, doors opening on their own. Ada realized her life was entwined with forces she barely understood. One night, sleepwalking, she found herself in a forest she had never visited but knew instinctively it was Nkem's village. Ada discovered relics and journals from Nkem, remedies, letters, and records of old grudges. Awe and sorrow overwhelmed her as she understood the depth of her past life. Soon, danger manifested physically. Descendants of Nkem's rival appeared in the village, sabotaging her work, threatening her, testing her courage. A vision struck her one night. A deadly outbreak was coming. Panic set in as she raced against time, guided by whispers and memories of Nkem's strategies. Using both modern pharmacy knowledge and ancient remedies, Ada treated the first patient successfully, but exhaustion clawed at her body and spirit. In the forest during a dream, shadows rose to full form, and she felt the weight of past enemies pressing down, but they receded after she confronted them with courage. Amid the chaos, Ada met someone she instinctively recognized, a young man whose presence stirred echoes of Nkeme's past love. Confusion, longing, and tentative affection complicated her mission. The final threat arrived in full force. The descendants of Nkeme's rival attempted to sabotage her work, endangering lives. Ada used intellect, instinct, and the wisdom of her past life to survive and protect the villagers. The deadly illness spread, and under a full moon ritual, shadows from her dreams appeared, facing her. With every remedy administered and every life saved, the shadows dissolved, the curse lifted, and Nkeme's unfinished business reached closure. Ada felt a profound catharsis, grief for the past, relief for the present. She returned to her city life forever changed. The dreams now came without fear, guiding her instead of haunting her. She understood that reincarnation wasn't just a return of the soul, it was a cycle of lessons, healing, unfinished stories, and deep empathy. Ada had embraced her past, healed herself, and carried wisdom into the future.